Hi there. So recently I saw an article in the Zambia Business Times and it made me ask the question, is the luxury property market in Lusaka dead? And I thought there would be no better person to speak to than Mr. Goodson Ngambi from Broadleaf Urban Properties. So if you want to find out what's really going on with the luxury market and where you should be investing instead, then make sure you watch this video. Hi there. My name is Natasha Chumia. I'm the CEO of Diaspora Connect. And on this channel, I like to give you, the Zambian who's living in the diaspora, information and inspiration about our Zambian real estate market. And if you'd like to know more about our verified property offers, just comment property below this video and we'll send you a link with our property brochure. Now, in today's video, I'm asking the question, is the luxury property market dead? And there's no better person for me to sit down and have this conversation with than Goodson Ngambi from Broadleaf Urban Properties. So if you want to know about the luxury end of the market and what you should be pursuing instead, then join me in this conversation with Goodson. Hi, Goodson.
Hi, Natasha. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Thank you so much for making time to be with us today.
No, it's a pleasure.
All right, let's get into it. How would you define the luxury market in Zambia and in Lusaka in particular?
Okay, so I think I'll start maybe with a general description in terms of the overall industry itself. So I think in the past few years, I think if you check even the Bank of Zambia projections, our market in terms of real estate has been growing at a steady rate. I think even as at now, we've had quite a good environment, and I think the, the market has been performing well, especially in the medium to lower income range. The luxury apartments have also been doing good, but I think of late there's some other factors which have seemed to have destabilized the market a bit, which I think we'll now get into so that we can now explore further.
Yes. Now, in your interview with the Zambia Business Times, you talked about this trend, a growing trend of executive apartments being unoccupied. And so many people sent me the link to that article, which is why I had to reach out to you and have this discussion. So I wanted to find out what is causing this trend of luxury apartments remaining unoccupied.
Okay, so there are quite a number of factors, I think, which I'll get into so that we can begin to understand why that is the case. So I think the first is there's been an oversupply of luxury apartments. So I think a luxury apartment can be maybe classified in terms of the price range. So usually it's anything above 30,000. So I think in terms of the dollar rate, that should be around $1,700. So anything above that price is classified as something as to be a luxury apartment. So I think in the past, I can say maybe 5 to 10 years, we've seen a number of people venturing into such apartments, and I think we've had an oversupply of them, especially in the prime areas like Kabulonga, Olympia, and these other good areas. The number two factor is the change in terms of the trends in the demand for the tenants. So normally, yes, we can say that the growth has been there because we still have a huge housing deficit. So the growth has been there and it has been steady, but the growth has been mostly in the medium to the lower income range. So anything less than 30 is a good viable option if you're an investor on the market. So uh, I can say the major reason has been much of the demand is coming from the middle to lower income bracket. So most people who built on the high side seem to be having challenges in terms of finding clients. So I think I can say those are the major reasons as to why that is the case. Of course, we can also touch on the part of the major tenants who are mostly these external businesses, NGOs, having left the country. Because normally, if you're looking for a tenant for such an apartment, the people that we normally target are usually external investors, or maybe somebody coming like to work for an NGO from an external organization, and it's usually the company paying for them. So yes, so in that case, because most of them had to exit the country because of the new policies for the US. So we've ended up having quite a low number of people interested, but we still have people building. So the supply has been huge compared to the demand. But on the middle to the lower income, the demand is still there. It's quite huge.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that because we have fewer expatriates, that the demand that has affected demand for these high-end apartments.
Yes, yes, that's true.
Now, when people were developing these units a couple of years ago, were the trends looking more favorable? I mean, did it look at that time as though this was a really good investment to make?
It was. Yes, I think maybe I can say 5 to 10 years ago it was. But I think looking at the shifts in the market, because the economy has had a very, very huge changes over the past 5 years, I can say, mostly coming from the US policies, which have trickled down to other countries like Zambia. Because I think for us, we can't say we're independent of what the US does. So because of those shifts and changes, we've actually seen a lot of changes in the sector. The sector still remains viable, but I think that part of the industry has been affected a lot. I can give an example maybe of our app, which I'm sure you have subscribed to now. So if you check the most of the requests we get in terms of yeah, rentals, they are usually in the middle to the lower income bracket. But then if you check the listings from the agents and the landlords, usually it's above. Yes, yes. So there's that disconnect which is there now.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I want to come back to that point. But for now, what I wanted to ask you is how long are landlords or property owners able to hold on to these empty units before it just becomes unviable?
I can say maybe depends on maybe the source of funding for that person. So if maybe somebody built the apartments and they have a loan to service, then that's a very tricky situation because you need the money. Yes, yes, very fast. But if it's just a long-standing house and it's you've had it for a long time, you have no other obligations. I think they are willing to wait because we've seen others stay maybe 3, 4, 5 months still looking for a tenant. Although I need to point out, I think mostly what people are now doing is instead of using the long-term leases, they are now doing the day-to-day rentals or apartment leasing, which is actually more viable. Because if you charge per day, you have maybe people who are just visiting for a day, or maybe somebody wants to have a birthday party,
Okay.
depending on anyway what you allow as the landlord.
So that's really interesting. So what you're saying is that now people with these high-end apartments are moving from a steady monthly rental to almost an Airbnb style accommodation.
It's yes, it is more viable that way. Yes.
I see. Are there any other strategies that property investors who are in this high-end sector can undertake in order to improve occupancy and perhaps reduce on their losses?
Okay, so the best strategy I think I'll give is one, of course, the number, but I think this would help secure their investment if they venture into that. So the best is instead of building one big apartment, which will cost maybe upwards of 30, maybe it could be 40, 50. Instead of building one, it's better you do maybe flats, maybe two, three in the same block, depending on the space that you have. They can be semi-detached or maybe single independent units. So it's instead of maybe charging one big house for 30 or 40, you can have maybe three, which you can charge 10, 10, 10. So that way it's easier to find people because most of the demand is coming from youths who are just starting out to maybe they just started working, they finished their university, and most of them cannot afford to pay the high rentals, and that is the biggest market. So if you want to have a secure and steady inflow of cash, those are the people to target.
Okay. And like I said, I want to get into that. But before we get into where the real demand is sitting, I wanted to find out from you. You know, property is a long game. And I always say that it's a long game. What do you think would have to change in the next, let's say, 2 to 5 years in order for this high-end luxury apartment market to become more active again? What do you think would have to change?
What I can say is mostly the demand for those is on people and something on the high end. So we need, I think the economy has to be more viable. And usually we relied heavily on the FDI, which is a foreign direct investment. So we need people in the diaspora to actually invest in the sector so that we have more demand. So if we have more demand, then the industry is going to pick up in that sector. Yeah, but I think for now, most of the demand is coming from the locals, which are due to lower income.
Okay, so yeah, let's get into that. So, because you've mentioned several times that really where the demand is sitting is the middle to lower end. But what is the range of rentals where demand is very strong?
And I would say anything less than 15,000.
It's very strong demand.
Very strong, yes. Because usually that's the average in these uh, areas that we can classify to be middle to lower income.
Okay.
Anything above, yes, you can get, but yeah, there's that struggle sometimes.
Okay. Now, you say middle to lower end areas, neighborhoods. A lot of our viewers in the diaspora haven't been home in a long time. And maybe when they do come home, they're going to the same neighborhoods that they grew up in. So maybe just to help them, maybe you can outline some of those middle end areas and the lower end areas.
I would say, okay, most of them fall in the range of middle to high income, but I think I'm going to classify them as such because of what I said. You can, depends on how you set up
Yes,
the
yes,
place,
exactly.
yes. So we can say places like Silverest, I think we have Chamba Valley, Vona Valley, Minwood, Ndeke. I think those are usually the places. Even Chalat, I think. New Kasama is on the high end, usually. Yes.
Okay, that's good. That's a good pointer that you've given people. And then what would you classify as the lower end area? And I'm thinking that we're looking more at high density areas. Yeah, so what would those areas be?
I think these the more older places. Maybe we can say Charleston, but the challenge is getting land there is difficult. So, but we have places maybe like 10 miles, Lusaka West. Yeah, those are in that category. Mhm.
What about in our local townships? Would you say those are areas, if someone wants to go on the middle to lower end, what would you say about our local townships? I'm thinking about places like Mtendere, Kalingaringa.
Yes, yes. So of course, those will be classified to be on the lower end. For such areas, if you're targeting them, then usually what people do is maybe they'll buy off maybe an old building, demolish it, and put up something ideal. Yeah, but I think those are also okay. But it depends on if you are willing to do it in that way, because it's difficult to find land in those areas. They are already
Yes.
filled up.
It is difficult to find land. And actually, what I can say is what surprises me is how high rentals have become in those areas over the last few years. Yeah, because of their proximity to better areas. Yeah, I don't know if you've observed the same thing. Yeah. Okay, so while we're still on this subject of neighborhoods and areas, real estate is all about location, location, location. So, what would you say are those up and coming areas that people should really be keeping an eye out for in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years?
I'll speak, I think, from the industry insight. So the areas which seem to be good and growing very fast and showing potential, I think would be Silverest. We can say also the Vona Valley areas, Chamba Valley that side. Also New Kasama. Yes, I think those appear to be having a good trajectory.
Yes. And why do you say that?
It's based, I think, on the number of requests that we get from customers. So normally when somebody is inquiring, they are looking for plots in mostly those areas
Okay.
because those are usually the places where people are looking to settle now.
Mm. And it's interesting that those areas are on the outskirts. When you say Silverest, when you talk of New Kasama, those areas, you're really going out of the city. Yeah. Now, what would you say are the number one mistakes that people make when they're investing into the residential market, whether it is on the high end or the mid to lower end?
It's just one. Avoid avoid building a huge mansion. That one, I think, is only ideal if it's for your own residence. But if it's for rental, that is a very, very big mistake because it's usually difficult to find a tenant.
Guys, it's difficult to find a tenant for that big mansion. And I think that's why actually you see so many people wanting to build flats now. I think there's been a realization that if you really want an investment property, then having these smaller units is the way to go. So tell us about yourself and how you got into real estate.
So far, I can say I have about 10 years experience in the industry. So I was born on the Copper Belt. I was educated on the Copper Belt. Went to school at CBU. I did economics, bachelor's in economics, and then after that I finished. I actually my first job was also in in a real estate company. So I think the company has gone down now. I was there I think for less than a year. Then after that I joined Palm Ridge Properties. So I joined as a salesperson. Went to I was promoted to sales manager, then went to general manager. And after that, that's when I joined Broadleaf Urban Properties. Yes, so I think yes, and then I also did my training in terms of real estate with the Zambia Institute of Estate Agents. That's both level 1 and level 2. Yes.
I can see you've had a long career in real estate spanning a decade. And I'm glad to hear also that you are a licensed estate agent with Zia, because actually a lot of our audience don't even know that you have to be a licensed estate agent here in Zambia. Yeah, so guys, I'm always reinforcing this point. Please make sure you deal with licensed estate agents. And I'm sure, like us, like Diaspora Connect, you've actually dealt with a lot of people from the diaspora. What are some of the mistakes you see them making when they want to buy property back home?
I would say maybe the number one mistake is maybe relying on the old information that they had in terms of the areas which are good. Yeah, so usually it's a hard time to convince them to say, okay, this is the best place to buy. This is the so normally we have to give them maybe illustrations. Okay, there's this place here. This is how much they are charging. This is so you have to run them through everything so that they understand. So okay, this is why I need to invest my money in. And also maybe the second would be maybe trust in their relatives. I think we've had that challenge quite a number of times where they send money to the relative, then they have to send to the company. So maybe the friend relative will end up eating the money. Then maybe the time that you get to tell them, say we haven't received the payment, because normally they pay in installments, like for us. Yeah, so we find that maybe they'll tell you, no, I actually sent money to this person maybe a month ago, 2 months, but we haven't received anything. So I think it's best you deal with a company which is licensed and regulated by ZIA. It's more easy for you to hold us accountable than a relative, because you'll be feeling like, if I press too hard, maybe a family will be on me. You know the way it is in Africa.
Exactly. They'll say, no, forgive them, pray for them. Okay. And then you said something that was interesting. You said people in the diaspora, they have a perception of those old areas, maybe that they grew up in or that they left. And do you find that there's also a perception of pricing? Because you mentioned showing them. So do they get surprised at the pricing in those old areas? And is that how you convince them now to look at other areas?
Yes, yes. No, they do. But I think what I appreciate is I think most of them do some research, so at least they have an idea. But they still complain to say prices are increasing. Back then when I left home, plots were this much, but now it's there. Yeah, but I think it speaks to maybe the growth in terms of the industry. Yeah, so I think the growth has been there, and it's a good place for them to invest.
Okay, Goodson, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for explaining to us why the luxury market right now is limping and where the actual demand is. So, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
So, I hope you enjoyed that conversation that I had with Goodson. Now, it looks like the luxury end of the market isn't quite dead, but the middle to the lower end of the market is where the demand really is. So I hope that gives you something to think about when you're thinking about investing in property back home. Now, if you're a Zambian and you are thinking about investing back home, then comment property below this video and we'll send you a link for our verified property offers. If you would like to speak with us and find out more about how we can help you buy property back home in a safe and reliable way, then please book a call with us. The link is below this video, or send us a WhatsApp on the number appearing on your screen. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification button so you don't miss any of our videos. Otherwise, it's bye for now, and I'll see you in the next video. Is the luxury end of the property market dead? Let me do that again. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be sitting down with Goodson Ngambi from Urban Broadleaf. It was going so well. All right.